that. You know,
Mm,
if you have a $500,000 home and a $500,000 401k, those are not equivalent assets. They sound
true,
equivalent, but they're
true,
not equivalent, right?
true.
One's going to continue to grow without much maintenance needs. The other one's
Mhm.
going to have a furnace that breaks.
My name is Kevin McIntosh, and this is the Closing Table, where we talk to experts about their experience in real estate all across the country. Let's go. All right, smiling faces, welcome back to the Closing Table. I am your host. I go by the name of Kevin C. McIntosh, and we have a special guest on this episode sharing her knowledge with us. We want to welcome Bernadette Melton to the table. How you doing, Bernadette?
I'm good. How are you, Kevin?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. No complaints over this way. We want to talk about some good things that's going to get us all more knowledge in real estate, but I like to start things off with an icebreaker. Bernadette, I have
All
one
right.
for you. It's called Fill in the Blank. It's exactly what it sounds like. I have some sentences, but they are incomplete because of some blanks. I need you to fill those blanks in with whatever context makes the sentence make sense. You ready?
All right. Sounds good.
All right, first one. Blank is why I am a real estate agent.
Blank is helping people is why I'm a real estate agent. I like to help make dreams come true. So that's why I do it.
Well said. Next, most of my clients like blank about my process.
Most of my clients like that I have a process. Not everyone does.
That's a very good
Yep.
response.
Yep. Some people are a little more on accident. I'm very much
Mm-hmm.
process driven. I like checklists and I like to do
Mm,
things the same way each time. That doesn't mean every transaction goes the same way each time because it's all different houses, all different people. But I like
correct.
to make sure that we don't miss anything. So, yeah. So I have a process.
Nice, nice. Other than interest rates, most
Mhm.
buyers are concerned with blank.
Inventory. There's not a
Mm,
lot of it. Yep.
mm,
Yeah, so they're concerned with having enough choices to make a really good decision for their family.
good point. The best investment strategy in real estate is blank.
The best investment strategy in real estate is patience. This is not a short game. This is a long-term game. So real estate is a long-term investment. So people need to be patient to understand how the market works, how investing in real estate works, and to make sure that they're in it for the long haul for the right reasons.
Right.
They don't need quick cash.
Hmm. Yeah, I agree. I agree. Last one. The most difficult thing about being a landlord is blank.
The most difficult thing about being a landlord is I'm not a landlord myself, though we do own an investment property. We don't manage it ourselves.
Hmm.
So I would say getting really good tenants who will take care of your property. Um, it's harder to take care of things that aren't yours specifically, so
Hmm.
that can be
Mm.
challenging. And it can be challenging when an investor goes to sell a property that's tenant occupied to make sure that people can get in to see it. And it looks really
That's
good too.
true.
So, yeah.
That's true. That's true. Well said. Well said. Thank you, Bernadette. Bernadette, keeping things nice and light and having fun with us on our fill in the blank
Hmm.
game. Let's
All
keep it
right.
moving now. I like to take this time for you to explain to myself and our audience exactly who is Bernadette Melton outside of real estate.
Mm-hmm. All right. So I'm a mom of three. I've got a 10-year-old, a 14-year-old, and a 15-year-old. So we'll have two in high school
Nice.
and one in middle school next year. I love living near the mountains. We live in Colorado, so we like to go into the
Mm,
mountains as much as we can. Um, I have gotten into competitive robotics. Not myself,
mm,
I don't compete, but my oldest son does. So we watch a
gotcha.
lot of competitive robotics meets. So,
Mm,
yeah, so that's me.
nice. Engineering at a young age. Gotta love that. Oh, and they
Yep,
make it fun too. Oh,
it
that's
is
sweet.
fun. Yeah.
Look at you, mom. Go, mom, go. All right. Sweet, sweet. Okay, so you mentioned you're in Colorado.
hmm
That's one of the I don't get to interview too many agents. I think I had one agent from Colorado. But
hmm
let's take this time now to actually get into that then. If you can take some time to describe your current market for us. First, geographically, where are you exactly? Local areas, landmarks, surrounding areas, things of that nature, please.
Okay. So I am based out of Erie, Colorado, which
Okay.
looking at a map, we're straight north of Denver and straight east of Boulder. So
Okay.
right along the foothills, right along the I-25 corridor. It's a more suburban area. We do
Mm-hmm.
have some rural areas around here as well. Um, we can see the mountains really nicely from here. So yeah, we're just outside of Boulder, outside of Denver. This area is fairly flat and mountainous. That's something people don't realize about Colorado, is it's
Mm,
decently flat until you get to the foothills, and then it gets hilly. So
really?
yeah, yeah, it's beautiful area here. We have lots of sunshine. We don't get as much snow as what people think. More snow
Really?
in the mountains, not down here. So we got
Hmm.
quite a bit this
Okay.
year, but yeah, so geographically, that's where I am. Some surrounding neighborhoods would be Broomfield, Lafayette, Louisville, Longmont, Thornton, and those areas.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so northern
Hmm.
Denver metro area is what we call
I
ourselves.
I love having agents from different markets, especially markets I've never been to. Because
hmm
when you take this time to describe it, I'm like, wow, I never knew that about,
hmm
that market. And it explains misconceptions because I'm thinking Colorado, you're getting
hmm
snow. I don't care where you are.
Yep.
I'm thinking it's just all mountains and snow.
Nope.
But, you clarified that for us. So, okay.
Mostly
So
sunshine.
let's get into the economic part of it. Let's
hmm
talk about the average pricing of the homes, square footage, how long these homes are staying on the market on average. Let's talk about it.
Okay. So average for our area, um,
Hmm.
like I said, we're a more suburban market over here. So a lot of two-story ranches, a lot of neighborhood homes, not as many um, homes that aren't in an HOA controlled neighborhood. We don't have
Okay.
as many of those.
Hmm.
Square footage is going to be between 2 and 3,000. Um, about half and half finished basements, I would say. We do
Mm.
have basements in Colorado, as opposed to like
Okay.
Texas or some other places that don't.
Right. Right.
And we like our basements here. So,
We do too here in Michigan. Love our
yep,
basements.
yep, yeah. So,
Okay. Okay.
yep. For right now, we've got sort of a mixed market. We've got homes that are still selling instantly, first weekend, right off the bat. And then we
Mm.
have homes that are sitting longer. Our average days on market is closer to 30 days right now. Um, so that means that accounts for those homes that are going under contract very quickly, and then the homes that are sitting quite a bit longer. The difference
Gotcha.
usually is location, some to with price, obviously, and condition. Buyers right now are really wanting homes that are well taken care of, that are
Yeah.
updated. They've got all the bells and whistles. So,
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah. Move in ready. Not too many people trying
hmm
to put in that sweat equity, that
Yes.
sweat equity work.
Much
Not too
more
many people.
move-in ready than
Yeah.
than needing work right now.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. I
yeah.
get it. I get it. To each its own.
hmm
So, if I'm not mistaken, you mentioned that you also provide virtual services, which
hmm
include what home tours, virtual open houses, 3D walkthroughs, 2D floor plans, things
Yeah.
like that. And this is for the most part for people who may not be able to come directly to the market to
hmm
check out the homes.
hmm
So, with that being said, can you describe some of the challenges associated with working with clients who is out of town and how to utilize these virtual services in the
hmm
process?
Absolutely. So everybody starts their home search online, right?
Hmm.
So we want to make sure that the homes that I'm selling have as much exposure as possible. And that means I want people who are in town and local to be able to see them, but I also want people who might be moving in from out of town. We've got a lot
Right.
of people that move into Colorado for various reasons. We have a very aerospace heavy industry here. So people will move in from other states like California. We actually have quite a bit of people moving in from North Carolina right now. So I want to make sure that the homes that I'm selling get seen. And that means really good photography, floor plans so people can figure out how the house is laid out because you can't really tell that from a straight flat image a lot of the time. And then 3D walkthroughs. So they can walk through the house on their own just online to determine if that's a place that they might like to live. And then we can do virtual walkthroughs too, where, and we did this a lot during COVID too, where I can do a FaceTime with someone, walk them through the
Mm,
house. They can see exactly how big that closet is or
right.
where the drawers are, or really get a better feel for the layout of the house that you can see in a 3D walkthrough, but it helps to have somebody there opening doors for you and actually being able to walk you through the house. So it's not quite the
Gotcha.
same as walking through in person, but it works really well for people who can't necessarily get here quickly and easily to be able to walk through a home.
Got you. Got you.
Hmm.
Yeah. And while it may not be like the preferred way of doing things, I
Hmm.
completely understand they're out of town. So they
Hmm.
can't just always make a trip to Colorado to check out a
Hmm.
property that they're interested in. But,
Yeah.
I guess that's the key behind getting an inspection also,
Hmm.
because the things that
Yeah.
you can't physically go see, touch, and see what's wrong with, that's where the inspector would come in and
Yeah.
actually check that out also. So I
Yeah.
and I would imagine in cases like that, I don't care how good the deal is, we're not waiving an inspection. You're not seeing that at all, are you, with people from out
Uh,
of town doing
Not as
virtual?
much as what we were during COVID when the market was a lot crazier.
Not as much. So you did have some people from out of
Hmm.
town that will buy a home without seeing it in person with
Hmm.
no inspection. Wow.
Not often with both of those things. So
Okay. Okay.
most people were still doing inspections. I always
Got
recommend
you.
people do inspections. It's just not a good
Hmm.
idea to skip it. Even if we decide not to object to anything, I still want them to
Right.
know what's going on with their home. But yeah, I had at least one client who never stepped foot in her house until she'd owned it for over a month and moved here from Texas. So yeah, so it does happen. And that is one nice thing about doing the virtual walkthrough with people is they can see, we can see multiple homes. They can determine, which one do they really like. And then actually during the inspection period, sometimes they'll fly in, check the house out in
Um.
person. And
Got you.
then, but they've already established what they really like and we know what they're
Pretty
looking
much.
for. Yeah.
Uh, I
Hmm.
get that. Okay. All
Yeah.
right. Yeah, it's a different world. We're in a different market, so I can see
Hmm.
buyers and sellers' personalities and character and things that they're doing. I can see it all adjusting and changing as we go through the times of the
Hmm.
market. So, okay, that's
Absolutely.
good to know. You mentioned that you also serve various locations, including Erie,
Mhm.
Broomfield, Lafayette, Longmont, and surrounding areas. If I pronounced all of those right, by the way.
You did. Yes.
But
The
how
only
do you ensure?
difference is here. So I grew up in Indiana, and
Uh-huh.
Louisville in Indiana is Louisville because it's Louisville, Kentucky,
Yep,
right?
yep.
Here, it's Louisville.
We have a town in Michigan that's spelled like Charlotte, but it's pronounced Charlotte. Also, it took me a while to
Yep.
get that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird. But anyway, how are you ensuring that you have a deep understanding of these local real estate markets in each one that you're serving?
Yes. So I make sure that I follow each market. I get daily updates on what new homes are coming available so that I know, do I have a potential buyer that something new has come up for them that would work for them?
Mm-hmm.
I also make sure that I'm doing um, monthly meetings with my company to make sure that we are all knowing what's going on in our market. What are we each seeing? What new trends are popping up? What are our people looking for?
Mm-hmm.
And then we have a title company and mortgage lender here that do a great combination meeting once a week with a weekly update on the market. Run through a lot of stats. They talk about how many showings we should be getting a week, how many showings it takes to get an offer, how many homes are on the market, or is our inventory increasing, decreasing, what are our days on market doing? So making sure that I'm attending those meetings so I know what's going
Mm-hmm.
on and then just keeping a finger on what's going on in the overall US market too. There's lots of
Okay.
talk with the debt ceiling and um, interest rates and all sorts of stuff. So just knowing what's going on, big picture, And then knowing
Right.
what's going on in my local market really helps my clients to be able to know what can they expect when they list their home in the market.
Correct. Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. I get it 100%. See,
Mhm.
it's something that you said that I want to follow up in regards to. The fact that you said, and correct me if I'm wrong, you said you're from Indiana originally, correct?
Mhm. Yep.
So, see, that makes it a lot more interesting because you're not from that area.
Mm-mm.
So you really have to do studying. Like you really
Mhm.
have to attend events, like shake people's hands, meet, like to really know that market. I mean,
Yeah.
anyone could just look on the internet and do some research and
Mhm.
probably get, caught up. But at the same time, like you have to actually have the feel for that
Mhm.
neighborhood, that market, and know the streets, know the directions without even looking at GPS,
Yeah.
know the schools. You won't
Yeah.
necessarily get that feel just from doing online research all the time. So
Yeah.
the fact that you do have to do all of that because you're
Mhm.
not from that area, it makes sense, and you're just doing your due
Mhm.
diligence as a realtor.
Yep. Absolutely. I've lived in Colorado for 19 years now.
Okay.
Just hit my anniversary. So I've been here a
Yeah.
long time. We lived in Westminster before we moved to Erie. So,
Gotcha.
and then in Erie, it's just getting to know the area. So if you tell me a
Mm-hmm.
street, I can most likely tell you which neighborhood you're talking about. We have
There
two
you
different
go.
counties in Erie. We have two different school districts in Erie, and they don't necessarily line up, county and school district.
Mm.
So it's important for people to understand the layout of the areas they're looking in. And if they're looking for something specific, they're working with somebody who knows that area. Um,
Correct.
like I don't work in Denver. I don't enjoy going to Denver all that much, but I work a
Mm.
lot in the northern metro area because I spend a lot of time here. Broomfield, Westminster, Lafayette. That's where I go shopping. That's where my kids have activities and all that sort of thing. So I work in
Mm.
these areas. And for areas that I don't work in and I'm not as familiar with, I'm more than happy to refer people to
Refer.
agents who
Yep.
do work in those areas. Yeah,
Gotcha.
because you'll have a better experience, right? And I want to make sure that the people that I'm working with have the best experience possible.
There you go. Look at you
Yeah.
being considerate. It's not just about me. It's making sure you're good.
Yep. It's not
We
just
love
about
that.
me. Yep. Yeah.
We love
So,
that in our realtors.
yes. Yeah. It's definitely like real estate's a journey, right? You don't
Mm.
often move into one home and you stay there for forever. People move
That's a
into a
fact.
home, they need to change houses for job reasons or family reasons or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a journey. They want to invest, they want to get a second home, that sort of thing. So I'm along for the ride with them, basically. But
Yeah.
it's not my job to make decisions for people. So
Correct.
yeah,
Correct.
just to
Well
advise.
said.
Yeah.
Well said. You
Hmm.
also hosted an event called Practical Considerations for Navigating Divorce.
Hmm.
That's interesting.
Yes.
Can we talk about that? You said you do this on a frequent basis, so it's not like a one-time event. Can you speak on some of the talking points that you make during this event?
Yes. So I present this event with a group that I'm a part of called Trellis. We're hosting two different types of events right now. One is on navigating divorce, and one is on navigating aging, because of those are problems that we or concerns that we run into a lot with different people. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and Trellis is a group made up of different financial and legal professionals in our area that we got together because we saw a need where people were going through these really complicated, hard to navigate times of life, and they
Okay.
weren't getting really good, consistent advice from people. They would go talk to an attorney who would give them lots of advice about something, but then later on down the road, they would talk to a financial advisor and come to find out maybe the decisions they made in their divorce weren't necessarily the best long term for them. So we got
Mm.
together to help really collaborate so that people that are walking through these really hard life transitions can get more well rounded advice from people in various industries. And then it also strengthens each one of us.
Yeah.
I don't know what all the attorneys do throughout the process. There are a lot of resources, and attorneys aren't financial advisors. So we work with another financial advisor who helps people to understand if we make this decision now, What is it going to mean 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now? So
Mm,
that's why we came together. And then we offer free monthly seminars to our community for people going through these situations that are completely no obligation. We just want to provide information. This is what you need to think about and do before you go through a divorce or before
gotcha.
a loved one is diagnosed with dementia. Then when you're in the
Mm,
middle of the process, what does that look like? From my particular industry, what real estate assets does someone own? How can they be used to support care for an elderly person? What needs to be done to make that home work for them? And then also, if they need to go into a facility, how can that home be maintained, or does it need to be sold in order to help pay for their care? Same with
right,
divorce. A lot of people, women in particular, want to hold on to the home. They want to keep everything stable, make sure that they stay in the home. But what they may not realize is the potential long-term consequences of holding onto a home versus getting a 401k or something like that. You know,
mm,
if you have a $500,000 home and a $500,000 401k, those are not equivalent assets. They sound
true,
equivalent, but they're
true,
not equivalent, right?
true.
One's going to continue to grow without much maintenance needs. The other one's
Hmm.
going to have a furnace that breaks
Hmm.
or a roof
Taxes
that
that's
needs repair.
needed and things like
Taxes,
that.
exactly.
Yeah.
Capital gains tax can be huge for someone
Hmm.
going through a divorce. Yeah. So we want to talk through all of those things so that just so that people start to have a conversation, to think
That's
through
good.
what their options are and how they can make really sound financial decisions in a time that it can be very emotional and very stressful. So
Yeah.
that's why we do it. And it's been really eye opening for us as individual business owners to learn more about the process and really helpful for the public to just be more educated and be better equipped to make really good decisions as much as they
Right.
can. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
I applaud you for doing that and for taking that on. Because
Mhm.
divorce is just, even when I saw that title, divorce is one of those taboo topics where a lot of people
Yeah.
don't necessarily like to talk about, let alone even think about. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Especially if you're married, you
Yeah.
don't want to think about divorce. But
Yeah.
this event that you're holding, a couple follow-up questions to that.
Mhm.
It is open to the public.
Yes.
It's not just about real estate, correct?
Nope.
Like divorce and real estate.
Mm-mm. Nope.
Is it virtual or is it in person?
It is in person. Um,
Okay,
we have some legal professionals who can't do virtual events because
got you.
of legalities and things like that. So it is
Mm-hmm.
in person. We work with divorce attorneys, estate attorneys, financial advisors, real estate, mortgage lenders, a career coach, move professionals, a CPA, and various insurance, health, and property and casualty insurance providers. So it's
Nice.
all a wealth of financial and legal information. Um, just like I said, to get the conversation going, because this isn't something that we talk about. And
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people will go to an attorney, which is the right thing to do, but they may not necessarily know the nuances of all the various aspects. We want to make
Correct.
sure we try to
Correct.
cover some of those different nuances and so that we catch people before they make decisions that they can't change later. So,
Good point.
yeah.
Good point. Good point.
Hmm.
Okay, thank you for sharing that information. We appreciate that. Make sure our
Hmm.
audience is writing down notes. Pay attention, class. All right. I got this information from homebuying.realtor.
Okay.
Um, this is just in regards to like different damages that water can do to
Hmm.
your home.
Yeah.
I don't know how much you can probably help me with this, but just in regards, can you just talk about the common
Hmm.
issues that you could have as a homeowner when it comes to water and how you can be
Hmm.
proactive and things of that nature?
Yes. And water is everywhere, and water often will be described as taking the path of least resistance. It will
Hmm,
find any sort of crack that's available to go
that's a
through,
good point.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and this also can be very dependent upon where you live in the country. Colorado is a very dry state. We've had a very wet spring so far this year. So it's actually really green here right now. Um,
Mm.
so some issues that can come up with water, rain, hail. We get a lot of hail in Colorado, which a lot of people don't know, but we do get hail quite a bit with spring storms.
Really?
So making sure that
Mm.
your roof is intact is really important. If your roof doesn't have really good integrity, nothing under it is protected,
Correct.
you
Correct.
know? So making sure that any sort of damage that may occur through wind, through hail, through rain, any sort of storm damage, and even just sun damage, making sure our roofs have really good integrity. So that can be having an inspection done yearly with a reputable roofer, not somebody who knocks on your door, but an actual legit local company who really can provide a good service, going up, looking at your roof, letting you know if there is damage, um,
Mm.
and being honest about that. Never feel bad about getting a second opinion about anything, especially something as costly as a roof. So other places, here in Colorado, we have sump pits. So basically, what that is all the water that goes around your house gets diverted into a hole that's underneath your house. And then if it gets to a certain level, it will get pumped out of your house if you have a sump pump. Okay.
Mm.
Um, that all is based on maintaining your landscaping around your home to make sure water drains away from your home, not towards your home, because water
Right.
will do just as much damage below your home as it will above. So making sure that the landscaping is done appropriately to divert water away from your house. You don't have rain gutters that are draining directly next to your foundation. We see that pretty frequently, so we want to make sure water just gets moved away. And then interior
Gotcha.
plumbing gets maintained appropriately, and any wet spots, checking under the sinks, checking around toilet seals, and that sort of a thing, just on a regular basis to make sure that there's no water intrusion. Because water can be
Mm-hmm.
very damaging and it can be really costly to repair.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
Absolutely. See, yeah, that ties into making
Hmm.
sure you're getting an inspection done first and foremost,
Hmm.
and also
Yep.
just doing your due diligence on your
Hmm.
on checking everything yourself, and also talking to and reaching out to a specialist. Like you
Yeah.
said, someone who specializes in roofs,
Hmm.
basements, foundations,
Hmm.
the plumbing.
Yeah.
Have them come out if you feel like it's necessary and check things out.
Yes.
That's what that makes the most sense out of that. Speaking of
Absolutely.
specialists,
Hmm.
specialties, you currently hold multiple specialties and designations, including
Hmm.
SRS, Sellers Representative Specialist, ABR, Accredited Buyers Representative, and PSA, Pricing Strategies Advisors. Can you explain how Pricing Strategies Advisors designation help you in your career, and why did you feel like it was necessary to obtain that?
Hmm. Yeah. So I am a firm believer now in continuing education. When I was a student, a, I was a good student, but I wasn't the best student, right? I think
Same.
hindsight's 2020. We learn more as we get older and just realize better the value of education and continuing to
Mm-hmm.
learn. So it's
Mm-hmm.
important to me to be able to serve the people that I work with really well and just continue to expand my skills. So for pricing strategies advisor, I wanted to make sure that I know the best strategies to look at some of those properties that aren't necessarily the cookie cutter house in the middle of the same neighborhood. How do we
Right.
price properties that are on farmland or on acreage or in the mountains or have a lake view or a mountain view or anything like that? So I wanted to make sure that I know how can I best serve the people that I'm working with using the data that we have, but being able to advise them on this is what's going on in the market right now. And if we want to maximize the sale of your home and maximize your profit, then we need to know where in that market do we fall and how do we price so that we get people in the door quickly and we're not leaving any money on the table. So
Right.
that's why I decided to do that. Yeah.
That is very, very interesting, because now that I think about it, when
Mhm.
you're when you're looking at the value of a home or whatever the case
Mhm.
may be, it's generally based off of not only the neighborhood, the schools
Mhm.
and everything, but like local homes too. If you're in a situation where you're in a rural area and you don't have any neighbors for like a half of a mile and things like that, then it's
Mhm.
kind of hard to use that as a comp, correct? If they're so spaced out, or is it the
Yeah.
same? Can you?
So it depends on the property, but
Right.
for more rural properties, we'll look in the general area, but then a lot depends on their size, their condition, what can that land be used for? Does it border open space? Here we have a lot of open space land, which is land that is dedicated to not be built on. So if
Uh-huh.
you are on an acreage and you're next to an open space, it feels like you have a whole lot more space than what you are
Mm,
actually responsible to maintain. So, I look at what are the potential uses for that property. Is it usable for farmland? Does it have water rights? Does it have mineral rights? And those are things that aren't necessarily important in other parts of the country, but they can be really important and really valuable here in a desert and oil producing
yeah.
state. So, yeah, there's lots and lots of factors that we have to look at. Rural properties are harder because there's fewer of them and they're a lot more different from each other than a home in a neighborhood would be. Hmm.
Did you just say Colorado was an oil producing state?
Hmm. Oil and gas. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're learning here on the closing table. Give it up for Bernadette. Bernadette, ladies and gentlemen.
Yep.
You are really giving us some good knowledge. I mean, even though you just threw that in randomly. I just like it. I'm sorry. It's not that big of a deal, but I like that. I appreciate that.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So in terms of your assessed property value
Yeah.
and taxes, answer me
Yep.
this. What is a protest and why should someone protest their taxes
Okay.
at least?
Okay. So we're talking property taxes,
Correct.
and I'm strictly speaking for Colorado right now because I don't know how property taxes in other states are done. So,
Correct.
in Colorado, they're reassessed every 2 years, and this is a reassessment year. So, we get a
Mm,
new notice of valuation every 2 years from the county that says, this was your last assessed value, this is your current assessed value. If you think it's wrong, you need to appeal. Okay, so since we've had 2 really crazy years of appreciation, our property tax values went up a lot. And we're talking 40% in some cases. So a lot of people are thinking, I think my property tax value is too high. So what we do is I go through the market data during a specific time period, looking for homes that are as similar to theirs as possible to
right.
determine what are some comparable homes that they could look at to determine, does this value look accurate and am I going to be required to pay taxes on it, or is the county wrong in some way? So we're looking at a few different things: bed and bath count, square footage, finished square footage in the basement, um, garage size, lot size, are they on acreage, anything like that. Okay. So we're trying to compare apples to apples.
Right.
Like
Right.
I said, Erie's in two different counties, so that makes it a little bit more complicated. I try to keep counties separate from each other. There's literally just a road down the middle of town that's County Line Road. And so if I'm looking at a home in Boulder County, I want to look at other Boulder County homes. Same for
Right.
Weld
Right.
County.
Mhm.
And then what I see my job as being is just providing data for people. So I've written up a pretty thorough description of, this is what the county is looking at, and this is what your public record says your house is. If there's a discrepancy, perhaps you have grounds for an appeal to get your taxes lowered. Counties will sometimes raise them, so that's up to you. So
Oh wow.
doesn't happen often, but it can happen. Um, so we want to see, what does the data look like? What does the county think your house is? What do you think your house is? And do the two agree? And then what are homes selling for that are just like yours during a
Right.
certain time period? That's where some
Hmm.
people get tripped up, is they don't realize they can only use homes sold during a certain time. So
Okay.
I send them the write-up with all the information and then send them their comparable homes. And then it's up to them to decide whether or not to appeal based on the data that I've given them.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Wouldn't that be something if you go to
Mhm.
the county to protest your taxes to be lower and they raise them and they raise the taxes? That would be, oh my God, I would hate everything about what
Yeah.
I just did.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
wait, I already
Right?
told you I can't
Yeah.
afford this and you gonna raise it? What?
Yeah. So some people may choose not to protest.
Yeah, I bet. Like what? Yeah,
Yeah.
see that alone, you have to have like great documentation and
Hmm.
do your research for that type of stuff before you make that approach, because
Yep.
man, you are risking it right there.
Yes.
You are, oh man, I couldn't
Absolutely.
imagine. That would like mess up my entire weekend if I found that out. Okay, Bernadette, we appreciate you sharing your knowledge. I want you to take this moment right here
Okay.
to inspire us with what inspires you. And by that I mean, can you share a book, a quote, movie, philosophy that you live by, whatever the case may be, some type of content that motivated or inspired you for the better that can do the same for us?
Hmm. Um, and you asked me in this question in advance, and I was just hard pressed to come up with a single motivating quote or book. I am terrible with movies, remembering which ones I've seen and what they were about. Um, but this year, I came up with a new mission statement for my
Mm,
business and what I really want to do with my life. And it was something that I had been mulling over, mulling over, mulling over. Somebody said something, and I was just, huh, that's it. That's my mission statement. That's what I want my business to be about. And you would think I would have it memorized, but I don't because it's sitting right above my computer. So I
mm.
can look at every day. And my mission is to live out my faith daily, by sharing Christ's love with the people around me, by loving and serving them well.
There you
And
go.
that's how I try to live my life personally and professionally. Just trying to really love people well, you know, listening to what they need, listening to what their needs and fears and desires and longings and all of it are, and then walking alongside them, sharing love with them, which sometimes means sharing knowledge, sometimes it means sharing advice, sometimes it means just listening. And
Mm.
so that's what I want to be about, is just to share my faith with the people that are around me and love and serve them well. So
There it
yeah.
is. There it is. We
Hmm.
appreciate that. Thank you so much, Bernadette, coming on the show, giving us your knowledge and
Hmm.
sharing your energy with us. We definitely appreciate that. At this moment right now, if you have any last words and or want to tell the people how to reach out to you, please do so now.
Yes, so best way to reach me is phone or email. 303-898-4864 is my phone number. Text is generally best because voicemail, hit and miss. You can catch me on via email also at bernadette.melton@compass.com. Compass has a plethora of ways that we can help serve you. So it's been a great company and I enjoy working for them. So yeah, I love to help people. So if you have questions, need advice, just want to run something past me, I'm happy to help in that way too. Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you again, Bernadette. We appreciate
Mhm.
you for coming on the closing table. Representing Colorado, by the way,
Yeah.
ladies and gentlemen, home of where the Denver Nuggets play, and they are in the
Yeah.
NBA Finals. So
Yep.
we'll see how that turns out. They got a monster of a beast in Nikola Jokic, so we'll see how
Yep.
that goes. It's going to be interesting. But anyway, thank you for our YouTube audience watching right now. If you've gotten to this point in the video, now's your chance to hit that like button. We would gladly appreciate that. Also, share the content and subscribe to our channel. If you are listening on Apple, Spotify, any other podcast platforms. Please do the same. Give us a like, a 5-star rating, and subscribe for our latest content. Bernadette, I'll always leave our audience with a question for them to think before we leave. Have you or anyone you know discovered a major issue with your property after the sale was complete, and how did you handle that? Don't tell us now. Leave your comments below. Besides that, we got nuggets and six, and we'll talk to you later.